Good afternoon, friends and tribal members. We're a tribe. You know, any of us who are working on this ascension process, working on clearing up our own stuff and supporting others who are clearing up their own stuff, we're a tribe. I won't go into too much detail of it, but there was a friend of mine who wrote a book called Return of the Bird Tribes. And it talked about beings who are part of the bird tribe, who incarnate during times of stress for the planet and its planetary citizens to assist them through the process of whatever it is that's going on, like now. And I have a lot of memories of events that I was incarnated in a body during that were times of big transition periods going on, some with the loss of lots of lives. So I have memory of that in my system, and I've been able to seeing that all things occurs at once. This is a strong possibility. It's the way I perceive it works. So everything's going on at the same time. So you're not really going into the past. You're going into a time and space that appears to be a life that you lived before. But obviously, if you can go to it, it's happening now. It's confusing. I don't want to make you too confused. So I'm Steve, a person who can make people very confused because I have never been able to contain my consciousness in a place that I resemble others. Like my family was just like, it's just Steve. And I'm like, oh, that gives me a lot of freedom. So I still have a lot of freedom. So I've written a post today, and you can just go read it if you want. It might be similar to just go read it. But I'm also going to read it to you. But I'm going to read it to you and maybe with some additions to it. But first, I'm going to set up a healing field for today. So I choose to set up a world healing field. Of course, it's going to be for the world, and of course, you're part of the world, so it's going to be for you. So I choose to set up a world healing field and at this point, you could just say your name. If you wanted this to be set up for you, then you just add your name in at this point. And I ask that the Brotherhood of Light please be present. The Dave of Healing please be present. Pan of Nature please be present. The Sisterhood of Light please be present. All of our helpers and guides please be present. Saint Germain please be present. Metatron please be present. Kuan Yin please be present. Master Mo please be present. Master Kunli please be present. The Christ consciousness, please be present. The holders of space, please be present. Sanat Kumara, please be present. Abrahamanad, please be present. Both of them will appear in the post that I wrote earlier. Alcazar, please be present. He just appears when he wants. The interdimensional being, please be present. They all appear when they want. Thoth, please be present. Ra, please be present. The deep self, please be present. The higher self, please be present. And our soul ray group, please be present. And I ask that we be placed in a field of protection while we do this work. I ask the higher self to take us through the portal of time to the event that would be of the highest good to release and integrate the energies of at this time. And I invite all souls affected by this event to return to the event, to release and integrate the energy of the event for themselves. And I ask that they be placed in fields of protection while they do their work. Upon arrival at the event, we've already gotten there, but I'm just using these words. Upon arrival at the event, I ask the higher self to assist us to release and integrate all energies of the event gently and easily. I've been using those for many years. On all levels and through all space and time. So we're just going to get a complete clearing of these energies for ourselves, and for everyone that goes back to this event, they'll get a complete clearing of these energies. And then the space will be clear to bring in new energies. So I guess that there's going to be lots of new energies coming in. I mean, I have a continual world healing field open all the time, but I'm not personally involved in bringing in new energies. My job is kind of just to ground any disturbance. Any disturbance. There's a lot of it too. But to ground any disturbance that comes into my awareness, ground it into the earth, take the energy of disturbance and turn it into energy of power that then can return to people and help them empower themselves. That's kind of the model. Okay, so the field is set. One of the things I possibly should have suggested you do this before, but I can suggest you do it now. Just state out loud, I connect to my deep self. Feel what happens. Feel what space you go into. Notice if you start yawning, which I almost always do. I connect to my higher self. I ground myself to the healing center of the earth. I open myself to the healing power of the One. I release anything not useful to me now. And if you choose to work with the Hathors who help assist us to process things quicker using sound and vibration, then you can state out loud, I choose to work with the Hathors. Okay. So, this healing field, you don't have to stay here. You can just do your healing work, go wash dishes or whatever it is you have to do. Or you can sit here and continue to listen. If you want to just go inside and process the information, then hit the pause button. And then I'm going to do a little talk based on my writings from this morning that are very exciting to me, what's been coming to me. So I'm going to talk about it because I'll listen to it later because it's starting to form. Something's starting to really form. But you can hit the pause button, just go do your healing work in your dishes, and then come back later. And then you can skip through the part where I'm just talking about stuff if you want to, and go to the end. Actually, if you're going to do it that way, yeah, you can just go to the end where I'm bringing in the new energies and that kind of thing and do that part. Okay, so now I'm going to click over so I won't be able to see myself. So I kind of like watching myself when I'm doing a video so I can kind of see how stupid I look at times. But now I'm going to switch off so I won't be able to see myself in the mirror, and I'll just see the words I wrote earlier. And I'll be back. I'll be here the whole time because it continues to record my appearance even though I can't see it. All right? So I'll still be here. Okay, so what I wrote this morning, approximately 4 hours ago, was that I've been down many rabbit holes in this space and time, and I've heard many rumors and at times felt it necessary to share them with others. I've spent most of my life researching the healing process and experiencing many different approaches within that healing process. And what I've come to, and maybe I should have written come to realize from these many years of searching, is the awareness that change is what heals. And the reason we frequently don't heal is that we are unwilling to change. So I've had an issue with my lower back in spite of having an incredible resource of people who have delivered much in the way of healing care. But I originally injured my back in the early 2000s by, you guessed it, doing something stupid. And I spelled stupid, S-T-O-O-P-I-D. to indicate that I at times am stupid. I can't even spell stupid right. Then I compounded it by not taking any time to allow it to heal because I was very busy. And then I wrote, my bad. And so Wednesday, I had one of the best days of my life. I felt physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually balanced, open, and spacious. Then I noticed a twinge. The twinge became an ache. The ache became a pain, which grew sharper and sharper. Ouch, on so many, many levels. Then Thursday, I went and saw my friend and chiropractor, Dr. Rick. Some miraculous shift occurred. Layer after layer of old held onto stuff lifted off, leaving me lighter and lighter. Also, over the period of an hour or two after I was worked on, relatively little to no pain. So then last night, I felt like compelled to do some research. I wrote in my note, I had to, but I felt compelled to do some research related to the auspicious days of Pakal Votan from the Mayan calendar people. And I was attempting to understand the ongoing spirals of time related to the 13 tones of lunar power, related to the 20 tribes or kin of solar power, and how these related to kin numbers. And the kin numbers go from 1 to 260. And Prophet Pakal Votan's 13 auspicious days, these are all things I was wondering about in my head, and the uniting of past, present, and future through the 1320, so the 13 lunar tones, the 20 solar kin, the 1320 radial time. Well, that's just a lot of constructs, and it may have meant something to you, it may mean nothing to you, but I'm still fascinated by it, so I'm going to keep talking about it. You can keep listening, or you can just hit the stop button. Okay, then I wrote, okay, all right already. I'm definitely a conspiracy theorist of the highest level. Now, when I didn't write this, but when I think about that, I'm interested in conspiracy because conspiracy, at its core root meaning, means to breathe together. So it came from the Native American people, there's my understanding, I don't know if it's true, but there's my understanding, it came from the Native American people who, when they would gather, wouldn't talk with each other until everybody was breathing together. To conspire. Spire is to breathe. Respiration. Spire. To conspire with breath. So when whoever was maybe leading this gathering would notice that everyone's breath was together, then the conversation could begin. So when you're conspiring on the highest level, that means you're working with beings who aren't in third dimensional time and space. I mean, they're aware of it, but they're bringing fifth dimensional and higher up to 12. The interdimensional being, takes it a little maybe a lot further. I haven't gone there because it just seems like out of my league in a way. But these higher beings that I work with, I conspire. I breathe with them. I come into relationship. I come into a higher tone of vibration when I'm listening to them and when I'm bringing in information that is oftentimes coming from them or things I've learned from them. So that was all just ad-lib, that part of it. So now, then I said, let's drop back to the 80s, shall we? So the 1980s, the 80s. For those of you who never knew there were 80s, there were 80s. There were 1980s, there were 1880s, there were 1780s, there were 1680s, 1580s. It goes back, and there was a lot more, even if they weren't calling them the 80s at the time. So let's drop back to the 80s, shall we? And then I say, no, I'm not getting involved with the Bee Gees. Now, if you know what that means, then great. And if you don't, I'm not going to explain it. You can look it up. So I had a man from Europe in the 80s, and it had to be about 85, 86, because we had moved into a new house. So maybe, could have even been 84, 85, right in around there, because I was already getting ready to build, put a fence up around the backyard. And so he had discovered me through his travels and connections with various spiritual groups, and ended up spending a week or two living with me and my family and eating an amazing amount of bread. I'd never seen anybody eat so much bread. And helping me build my first fence and attempting to explain to me about the workings of the Mayan calendar. And at a certain point I gave up. I couldn't get it. And so here I am, 40 years later? Yeah, because if it was 84, 85, then it would be 40 years later. I'm still attempting to understand the darn concept, the Mayan calendar concept. There's aspects of it I'm trying to grok. Another word you're going to have to look up, some of you. Some of you will understand. Stranger in a Strange Land, I think it was the book. Okay, now we're going to skip ahead to 1996, when I was attending a channeled message from your spirit guides evening that I had set up with a lovely human named Nancy Crisp, who was going to bring in information from our spirit guides. So there were 20 people there. We did this, in 94, 95, and this was 96. And in her reading, for me, they were like, 3 to 5 minute readings that she would record and give to you. But in her reading for me, she said that my guides wanted direct communication with me. And I resisted and resisted and then resisted some more until finally I said, all right, what? And they said, get a pad of paper and a pen or a pencil, because we have quite a bit to say. And briefly they said, in their own way, and I put it in quotes, and it basically was the feeling of what they said, which was basically, look at asshole. Really, I felt like they're talking to an asshole, and I get it. Because they had been trying to communicate with me. I had an agreement with them that they would guide me in my life, and I basically shut them out. So they said, we've been trying to talk with you for quite a while, and you have a very short time to get ready for something that you agreed to do before you even incarnated, and we're here to make sure you keep your agreement. So I was given my assignment for the next year. I was to spend 1 year clearing my head, heart, body, and spirit to prepare me for, quote, what was coming. They wouldn't tell me what was coming, only that I had a part to play. I wasn't ready. That's why they're talking to me. And I better get my butt in gear. So approximately 11 months later, in December of 1996, I was told that I was going to be led to a hillside that would have an energy vortex, which was necessary for what was going to take place on March 22nd, 23rd of 1997. So I was given 3 months to be led to this hillside. And so then my friend Monty of Michigan asked me to come out to a llama farm and do some healing work on an injured llama. And then he took me on a tour of the property and proceeded to take me up a hillside and showed me where the energy vortex was. So I was told I was going to be led to a hillside with an energy vortex, and I didn't tell him that, hey, you're leading me to a hillside with an energy. He just was talking. He says, yeah, this is where I camp, and this is where the energy vortex is. So on March 22nd, 23rd, I had set up a tent, had a small bonfire in the vortex portal, and went through a series of tests. So I apparently passed all there were 3 tests, and I passed them all. So I'm not going to tell you about them. Maybe someday. Eventually, this being, and I should have put a capital B and a comma after it, but this being Abrahamanad, who told me I could call him Bob because he had come in on the Hale-Bopp comet that was closest to Earth on that very evening. And I guess he traveled on this comet and then came in as the spirit of the Earth. So Bob or Abrahamanad stopped briefly to chat with me on his way into the Earth, where he had agreed with Sanat Kumara, who's part of the healing field, to act as the soul of the Earth for the next cycle of 13,000 years. So these beings, they know how to commit, much more than I do. So I kid you not, I was there, I participated, I got the words directly from the source. The shift that we're going through is real. So last night, while I was trying to wrap my head around the construct of the auspicious 13 days of Pakal Votan, and I started to understand time, space, past, present, future, now, I thought, wow, I wonder what the Mayan calendar has to say about March 23rd, 2025, the exact day upon which the 28 years of cleansing was initiated back in 1997. So Abrahamanad had told me that there was going to be a 28 year of transition between the one world and the other, and it was a 13,000 year period of time, and then we were going into another 13,000 year period of time, and he was going to be the consciousness soul of the Earth during this next 13,000 year phase. And yeah, and he told me it was going to be a 28 year process. So starting March 23rd of 1997, it was going to go to March 23rd of 2025. That's 28 years. So I checked what was in the calendar. And so this calendar year, this is the year of the blue rhythmic storm, which began July 26th of 2024, because that's the first day in the Mayan calendar every year. So on March 23rd of 2025, it's the completion of the 28 year cycles of cleansing, and is a day of the blue crystal storm, and is day 259 of the 260 day Mayan cycle within the calendar year. The 260 day cycle just keeps moving in a spiral thing, and it's because there's 365 days in the regular calendar, which the Mayans use, but within the Mayans sequence, it's a spiral movement of 260 days, and then another 260 days, and then another 260 days, and it just keeps spiraling. So the last day of the 260-day cycle, which is the 24th, May 24th, is a yellow cosmic sun day. So that's number 260. So it's the last day of the 260 cycle is the 24th, and yellow sun is the 20th solar kin. And the completion of the cycle of 20 kin times the 13 lunar tones is 260 days, and it finishes on the 24th. So everything finishes up on March 24th, which is also a galactic activation portal day, according to the calendar. So day one of the new cycle is represented by kin number 1, which is the red magnetic dragon. So guided by birth, the red dragon is guided by birth, and coincidentally, my stepson is a blue storm, so that'll be March 23rd. My wife is a yellow sun, that'll be March 24th. And I am a red dragon, which will be March 25th, and also day 1 of the beginning of the next cycle. So March 25th, 2025 is day 1 of the lunar tone, magnetic tone. It's day 1 of the solar tone, red dragon, the beginning of the red eastern castle of turning. I think it's the red serpent eastern castle of turning, which is a 65-day cycle of beginnings. And it's the beginning of the 13 lunar tone wave spell and another galactic activation portal day. Also is listed as being a new galactic spin. And I don't even know what that is. I could make something up, but I'm going to wait to see if I can find out. So all I have to say is that we have less than 7 months to complete our own personal work, to drop off our bags of the past so that we might rise to the future, which is arriving on March 23rd, 24th, and the new world that we have been transitioning into for 28 years will begin on March 25th. So I hope to be alive at that time. Now it's time to get back to work. So that's what I wrote in my post. I ad-libbed part of it, so you're going to hear things that aren't written. I just kind of ad-libbed because I felt like it would be more interesting when I was reading it as opposed to when I wrote it. Okay, so that's been enough. We're just going to do the closing of the healing field now and bring in the new energies, and then we're done for the day. So I asked the interdimensional being, Thoth and Ra, the deep self, the higher self, and our soul group to assist all the souls that return to the event to combine with that part of their soul that had remained at the event and bring that combined soul back into the body in present time with all of its wisdom, power, and clarity. I asked those souls to ground themselves in the healing center of the earth, open up the portal for the delivery of the new energies into the world of this time. And once that portal is open, I ask that the new energies be brought into the world now. And that they be activated. And then let the universe know that this has been done and that it's good. Okay, that's it. That's the healing session for the day and a little bit of a talk. And as always, Nowmustgo.